Well, it's time for the JMT Monoposto Mono 1800, 1600, 1400 and Moto 1000 cars for their second race of the weekend. It's going to be a 15-minute, and it is Jeremy Timms who starts in pole position. Alongside him is Andrew Gordon-Colebrook. Then the second row of the grid is Craig Curran and Dan Levy. Row 3 is Martin Wright and Peter Lake. Row 4, Jonathan Reed and George Fowler. Row 5, William Thorling and Jeff Fern. Row 6, Peter O'Regan and Lucy Wardrop. Row 7, Douglas McClay and Adam Fathers. Row 8 of the grid, David Jones and Simon Price. And the 9th row, Simon Hare and Anthony Gortlet. Thank you very much from myself, Ben Evans, for joining us on this Race TV live afternoon here from the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and an absolutely jam-packed Motorsport Vision Racing event. The GMT Monoposto Championship can always be relied upon to give us some very full grids and some very close racing. This is for the small capacity cars, the Moto Mono cars absolutely flying. Yesterday's race was claimed by Jeremy Timms from Jason Timms and Craig Curran, and therefore you get a sense of the way that this race is going to unfold. Jeremy Timms in pole position, that he is going to be very challenging to overhaul, but you never know what is going to happen over the course of this 15-minute race, particularly as some of the Moto Mono cars very, very highly tuned, very specialised pieces of racing machinery. Unfortunately, we do get the odd mechanical failure that occurs along the way. So there is the dark and white car of Jeremy Timms. Alongside on the front row of the grid, Andrew Gordon-Colebrook in his Dallara. That is another black entry on this 1x1 starting grid. Then in 3rd place, Craig Curran. He is one of several Formula Jedi entered runners in the Moto 1000 class, including Dan Levy to the outside of row 2 as well. The last couple of cars coming into position largely because we've got 1 or 2 gaps at the back of the grid, so they will just need to find the right place to roll to a halt, which they have just about done. We've got a couple of cars more or less in the right place, so we're going to go green, and unless the 5-second board is shown to the drivers, the red lights come on now. The JMT Monoposto Championship about to get underway here at Brands Hatch, and away we go. It's a brilliant start from 3rd on the grid from Craig Curran, and also Dan Levy well away too. The Jedis, as you'd expect, rocketing off the line, and they make up the first 3 places as they run downhill. Jonathan Reed it is who goes 2nd, Levy into 3rd, and Pulse's Jeremy Timms was demoted to 4th. He is already looking to fight back and gain some ground as they run downhill towards Graham Hill Bend. Levy can't dispute it too much. He finds the traction around the outside. Jonathan Reed giving Craig Curran the chance to break through at the front of the pack as Levy now looks to challenge Reed. Timms and Colebrook both a bit frustrated to the bottoms up behind the Jados in this early running. Craig Curran is the big beneficiary. He has been able to build an absolutely monumental advantage at the end of this first lap of the race, in the region of 1.7 seconds. Jeremy Timms now looks to challenge into Paddock Hill Bend, and he's going to clear both cars in one fell swoop. He bade his time, waited for the right moment, was able to jink past. I suspect it's only going to be a matter of time as well before Gordon-Colebrook looks to do much the same thing. But for the time being, Andrew Gordon-Colebrook, qualified in 2nd place, has to consent himself to following behind Jonathan Reed and Dan Levy. Finding a way up clear of Buckinghamshire-based driver Jonathan Reed. This is promoted by Andrew Gordon-Colebrook, while in front of the field, Craig Curran is about to be caught by Jeremy Timms. So the race leader, his time at the front of the field, one would suspect, is likely to be slightly limited. Gordon-Colebrook clears Jonathan Reed. His next target is Dan Levy. Here come the race leaders. Curran leaves plenty of space, and Jeremy Timms able to dart to the inside and gain the place. It was only taken him 2 1/4 laps or thereabouts to move up to the front of the field. Now the smart money is going to be on Jeremy Timms romping clear. But of course, it's such a varied field in 1800, 1600 moto, 1400 moto, 1 litre classes. You do get a lot of traffic, and that traffic starts to go into play fairly early on. Second place though coming together as Dan Levy to close up onto terms with Craig Curran. They've got Andrew Gordon-Colebrook as well tucked up behind them. And then a big gap in the traffic back to the next group of cars. Jonathan Reed, and then Lake in 6th position. Some good scraps to be found. That's George Fowler, just running clear of Anthony Gauntlet. They're currently fighting over 8th and 9th place. We've also got quite a few of the Zetec era Formula Fords in the field as well. They're mainly to be found in the 1800 class. As Martin Wright looks to close up onto the tail of Peter Lake. Lake in one of the Smeds cars, which used to be very well represented in the Monoposto Championship. Here comes the pass then. Gauntlet draws alongside and moves clear of George Fowler. Fowler though still comfortably leading the 1800 class, which is also open to the Ford 2000 cars. Place gained for Gauntlet. His next target right is some 3.7 seconds up the road, so that isn't going to be the work of a moment to close down. Meanwhile, John Hare is busy trying to chase down the car of Adam Fathers, car 5, having a good scrap. They are also racing with Simon Pruce, about to walk in that by the race leader, Jeremy Timms. Now this is the key for Timms, is managing the traffic. That said, his lead over Craig Curran is gigantic. The battle, though, for second and third, about to arrive into Graham Hill Bend, very, very close between Curran, Levy and also Gordon-Colebrook. Likewise, now he's got a bit of wind into his sails. Seeing some great progress through the field from Anthony Gauntlet in the Dallara. Here's the battle for second then. It's the all-black car of Craig Curran. He's got the black and orange car of Daniel Levy just behind him. They pick their way past the Mono 1600 entries. Head towards Paddock Hill Bend. Andrew Gordon-Colebrook, all part of this fight. Second, third and fourth up for dispute as they climb uphill towards Druids. Around the right-hander and then down towards Graham Hill Bend. And Levy thought he got a run there for a moment on Craig Curran. They've got a few moments actually before they come up to catch Philip Davis, who is their next target. There's Davis. Craig Curran taking no chances, moves across, covers the inside line. Doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks. Just a moment, we've got one car in trouble. It's one of the Mono 1600s, whose number is just obscured behind the wheel. Nonetheless, well, they're not up and running, but they are into a place of safety. Here comes the fight for second now. Is that going to provoke the yellow flag for a set of Druids? There's the errant car. Meanwhile, in amongst the traffic now for Craig Curran and Dan Levy, they have to be fairly ruthless, scything past David Jones in his 1982 Van Diemen Formula Ford 2000 car, type of chassis that took Edson Sennis to that year's European Formula Ford 2000 Championship title, of course. As now we've got Levy released to challenge Craig Curran. They've got the benefit of having just broken away from Andrew Gordon-Colebrook. 8.5 minutes left in the race. So they arrive in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Here is our race leader, Jeremy Timms. Timms 7 seconds up on the rest of the field now, and just beginning to be able to pick his way past some of the traffic at will. Tim swings through the never-ending right-hander, which is clearways into Clark Curve, finds way around William Thorling and also Martin Wright, and concludes his 9th lap of the race. Despite all that traffic, that was still a very impressive lap from Jeremy Timms. A little bit more traffic to contend with in the form of Jeff Fern. And Fern also having a very solid race. He is currently in 9th position. This gives you an indication of Jeremy Timms' pace, that he has lapped so much of the field. There is the 71 car of Andrew Gordon Colebrook. Here is Craig Curran with Dan Levy snapping at his heels, and Gordon Colebrook's been well and truly dropped by the two Jedis, who are really busy disputing the 2nd place. Great battle between the pair of them. Swing through Surtees and form the Jedi chassis, originally developed by John Corbin as a hill climbing car back in the late 1980s, but then it's proved to be a very popular circuit racing car, as well as the thriving Formula Jedi Championship. But then you'll also see many examples coming to compete in other series. John Gauntlet, meanwhile, makes further progress through the field. He now goes into 5th place with that move on Jonathan Reed. But for a better start, Gauntlet could have really been in a position to challenge for a podium. He still might, except he's now 14 seconds adrift of Andrew Gordon Colebrook. That feels like, despite the pace that Gauntlet's demonstrating, that might just be a little bit too much for him to achieve. That's he was 1.5 seconds up on Gordon Colebrook last time round, but with just 6 minutes to go, that's not really going to be anything like enough. There's Jonathan Reed, who had such an electrifying start to the race, but now probably settled back more into his natural order. Glimpse of David Jones, glimpse as well of Philip Davis in Van Diemen RF 98. It's probably worth mentioning that whilst Formula 4 2000 as a category in the United Kingdom faded really in the late 1980s as a spin, and around goes Lucy Wardrop. Wardrop, one of just 2 female racers to have finished on the podium at the Formula Ford Festival here at Brands Hatch. The other, of course, being Danica Patrick. Unfortunately, that all went a little bit wrong at Druid. Shows how hard she was pushing. She was in 11th place at that point and leading her class as well. Another car in a little bit of trouble. That's Peter O'Regan. And Peter pulls off the road. That's just on the Exeter Surtees. It's in the middle of the grass. I don't think he's going to be causing too much concern in terms of the intervention of a safety car. So we head to the final third of the race. Still the best battle has been this one for 2nd and 3rd place. It's Jeremy Timms who leads. 2nd place is Craig Curran. 3rd, Daniel Levy. 4th, Andrew Gordon Colebrook. 5th, John Gauntlet. 6th place is Jonathan Reed. 7th place is Legg. 8th place Fowler. 9th, Thorling. And 10th is Fern. Dan Levy, having tried pretty much everything, hasn't been able to find a way past Craig Curran just yet. Curran ruthless as he needs to be through the traffic. And with cars of so many differing speeds and characteristics around the circuit, you really do have to be very confident in your fellow competitors. And Simon Hare has proved to be a little bit tricky for Dan Levy to put a lap on. Hare sporting the novice cross on the rear of the car, which suggests that he has got very limited circuit racing experience, and what that has served to do is give Craig Curran what could turn into potentially a decisive advantage in the fight for 2nd and 3rd place. It also brings Andrew Gordon Colebrook possibly back into contention for 3rd. We've got another car in trouble on the Brabham Straight. That's Martin Wright, where something has gone very wrong as he pulls off just beyond the start and finish gantry. I say that because again he requires a little bit of retrieval. So there is Levy. Here is our race leader, Jeremy Timms. Timms on his 15th lap has got just over 3 minutes left in the race. Scything through the traffic, and this has been a very comfortable performance from Jeremy Timms, having taken the lead in the fairly early running. over Craig Curran is absolutely gigantic. Curran only comes past us now, some 18.1 seconds back, and Curran 1.6 seconds clear of Levy, but in clear air, Dan Levy a little bit quicker than Craig Curran, so still the fight for second, third and fourth is unresolved. Get the feeling that barring disaster, the battle for the win is pretty much settled in favour of Jeremy Timms. Timms about to put the lap on Jonathan Reed. Reed currently in 5th position. In a way, it's turned into a slightly lonely 5th position for Reed now. Here is Levy, here is Andrew Gordon-Colbert. This is the fight for 3rd and 4th place, and both of them last time round were catching Craig Curran in 2nd position. Craig a little bit clearer of them still as they swoop across the line with exactly 2 minutes remaining. We've got, unfortunately, Simon Hare off the road and into the gravel trap. He's okay, just extremely disappointed. And those waved yellow flags at Druids give Dan Levy a momentary respite from a potential challenge from Andrew Gordon-Colbrook. So we're rapidly veering towards the closing stages of this race. Some good battles all the way through the field. Adam Fathers with the Ford, right in the thick of the action, currently in 18th place as Jeremy Timms looking one way then the other to try to pick his way past Simon Pruce. Now is Timms going to get the checkered flag on this occasion? Just about a minute left on the clock, and we have seen some of the races this afternoon maybe receiving the checkered flag with a couple of seconds remaining, just being mindful of being up against curfew. But no, Jeremy Timms gets the last lap board on this occasion. And in fact, the red flag comes out. The race has been stopped early, and the reason for that, I can only surmise, there we go, is 2 cars that have become entangled next to Paddock Hill Bend. One of them looks like Peter Legge in the Speds, indeed it is, and the other was Peter O'Regan. Peter Legge moving around in the cockpit. The car doesn't appear to be too badly damaged. It's just unfortunate that where the cars have been positioned on the track leaves there to be no option but to throw the red flag. It gives us a provisional classification, therefore, of a race victory for Jeremy Timms. 2nd place for Craig Curran, 3rd was Daniel Levy, 4th was Drew Gordon-Colbrook, in 5th place Jonathan Reed, 6th place is going to be, would have been Peter Legge, but it's not. It's going to be bumped up as a result instead to Fowler. In 7th place then Thorling, 8th place Fern, 9th place Maclay, and Lucy Wardrop completing the top 10. But as I say, very provisional classification, so we will find out depending on who presents themselves at the podium. Certainly there is no disputing that it's a win for Jeremy Timms, and 2nd place for Craig Curran, with 3rd place for Daniel Levy. So a slightly unfortunate GMT Monoposto 1800, 1600, Moto 1400 and Moto 1000 race, in that it was a bit more attritional than we would have liked, but nonetheless we were treated as ever to some excellent dicing throughout the pack. The drivers will very shortly be heading up to the podium and to join Michelle Livings. So let's have a look then at the moment that brought the race to a halt, and just unfortunate there. Peter Legge was looking to try and find a way past Peter O'Regan. I'm not sure that O'Regan quite appreciated the Speds was going to dart up the inside. As a result, the pair of them coming into contact. Damage to the rear suspension of Peter Legge's car, to the front suspension of Peter O'Regan. That was just an unfortunate racing incident. Hopefully they will both be back in action very soon in the GMT Monoposto Championships. We can head towards the podium now, and the driver's about to come out onto the rostrum, and then we will be able to hear from Michelle Livings, who will be able to talk to our winning drivers. So into 3rd place, Daniel Levy receives the handshake and the bubbly. Our runner-up, a great drive from Craig Curran, who was under a lot of pressure and he gives the thumbs up and receives the champagne. And the race winner, Jeremy Timms, who's barely put a wheel wrong all weekend, and he is up on to the top step of the rostrum. Three very happy drivers at the end of a long weekend racing. I think they are going to make merry with the MSVR Bubbly, and as ever with the MSVR Bubbly, I believe that Belarus has got an excellent 2016 vintage, and therefore that gets sprayed on the rostrum. Three hot, sweaty and happy drivers.
Right, now live with Race TV on the podium in the sunshine here at Brands Hatch with our three winners from the Monoposto race. First of all, Jeremy, coming to you, which is wearing the first hat, obviously. After a little bit of a hiccup at the start, it worked out pretty well for you in the end, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It was, as I said earlier, the start's a very awkward start. It's on a slope, and the back end slipped down and I took off. And then the Jedis are so quick off the line. They're lightning. But it gave me something to do earlier on in the race, and it was good fun getting by them. Yeah.
Gave you something to do, didn't it, Jeremy? I mean, what else are you going to do out there?
Well, the most interesting part of it is overtaking some tail-enders, because they just do not see you, and I had a couple of very close shaves where I second-guessed them and managed to get through them. Yeah. But no, it was a good race and no problems all the way through. Yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Let me just squeeze past and speak to these two chaps here. So we've got Craig and Dan. Well, yeah, Craig and Dan. I know, I've got it all covered. So you two were having, it was a pretty good battle between the two of you, wasn't it?
It was a pretty intense battle, yeah. A very tiring battle.
You a bit exhausted?
I'm very exhausted. It's been a long weekend, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was close racing, but it was clean and fair. So I'm really happy with that. It's just very tiring having to keep looking in the mirrors all the time.
You've exhausted him, Dan.
That was intentional. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I knew he'd be getting tired. I thought I'd wear him down. Just didn't wear him down enough, really. So next time I'll try and wear him down a bit more and get past him.
Brilliant. So, all in all, you're both happy with the results?
Yeah, very much. It was a great weekend. Yeah, two trophies. I can't complain.
Exactly. The sun's out as well. I mean, what more could we want? Thank you so much, guys. I'll let you leave. Careful you don't slip over on all your celebration, as we'll call it. So there you go. That was the podium for the Monoposto.